My name is Mina Ellison. I am the curator here at the Donkey Mill Art Center. And Jake Boggs, our ceramic studio coordinator, and I had the humble privilege of curating this exhibition, which this program is affiliated with. And the two of the artists you see here, Gerald A and Claire Seastone, are naturally featured in this exhibition for their work. We are super honored to have, really, when Jake and I were talking, just in our own community, such incredible artists, and to be able to feature them and share them and celebrate them. And there's so many more that we love in our community too. So yeah, we're just so grateful for them to do what they do. Okay. Many of you know these are beloved artists here who are so generous and glorious to share their evening with us.
Your course. Why'd you guys know that?
He didn't put up as much of a fight as I thought, which was really lovely. Yeah.
It was a little
Weak
bit of
moment.
I'll do it if you'll do it.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
I mean, I've been joking recently, our hometown heroes, and I think it's really nice to have this moment. So, main event. Claire Seastone has been working with clay for 28 years, making functional and sculptural work in porcelain and stoneware. She has taught and worked in various clay studios in Montana, Oregon, Italy, and Hawaii. A deep love of the natural world is a major influence in Claire's work, and her time spent outdoors serves as inspiration in her pieces, and she strives to convey in her work some of the subtle grace and vitality of objects in nature. Her mission is to bring objects of beauty into the ritual of daily life in order to enrich people's lives. Claire has served as the mill's ceramic studio coordinator for 8 years back in the day, and she operates a very successful business and with professional ceramic artists working hard. So, well, now that's Gerald A. He has been around for a while. Just kidding. He's a Hawaii-born artist and graduate of the University of Hawaiʻi at Mānoa. Hawaii, especially the island of Hawaii, has always inspired Ben's creativity and styles. Whether it is in his custom cabinetry, fine furniture, or sculpture, Ben's work reflects a rich diversity of media and technical skills which continue to evolve. Ben is proudly one of the founders of the Hōlualoa Foundation for Arts and Culture and the Donkey Mill Art Center, and has been a steadfast advocate of the arts for more than 3 decades.
I gotta live up to that.
So tonight's program is going to be a fascinating look into the lives of Claire and Ben, what inspires them, and the prompts that I'll be sharing or asking them were developed by Jake, myself, and most importantly, these two. They actually came up with questions for each other, and I'm really excited to dive into them. So, mahalo. And if you have any follow-up questions with whatever I say, don't be afraid to ask each other. Okay, cool. Okay, here we go. Very exciting. For first thing, for 500 points, you have 30 seconds. The ceramic Mr. and Miss America. Okay. The questions, I think, get shorter, too, so don't be scared at first, okay? Claire, in your artist statement, you mentioned your grandfather was a scientist and a serious potter. And although you didn't know him when he was alive, you grew up surrounded by his ceramic work, and you described them as treasures of the past. At what point did you realize that ceramics was something you seriously wanted to pursue?
Thank you. Yeah. My grandfather, my dad's dad, passed away before I was born, but he was the dean of the medical school in Wisconsin and Madison. So he was a doctor and like a science researcher. but he was a potter by hobby. And I think it was like his way of kind of decompressing. He had this high stress profession. But his pottery is really good, like just beautiful and very fine, very graceful and kind of like Danish modern vibe. And I grew up with his pots around me in the house, and just being able to like pick them up and use them. And they were kind of like, they were kind of on a special shelf because they're irreplaceable. But I think that like having those objects around in my childhood really kind of like seeped into my aesthetics in a way. And I didn't end up actually having a chance to try clay until I was about 20. I grew up in Helena, Montana, which is like kind of the mecca for ceramics, because we have the Archie Bray Foundation, which is like this really kind of important center for ceramics. But I wasn't aware of it. I mean, I heard that, it's ironic.
Probably kind of like the mill in some ways too. I mean,
if you're from there, like it wasn't really in my awareness as a kid. And I go there every summer now that I do ceramics, but I think that it's like my baseline came from having those pots around me when I was growing up. And also just having like I grew up in a house full of people who made things. Like my mom sewed and did block printing and painting and drawing, and like I grew up in an environment where it was very much encouraged, and it wasn't a high pressure thing. It was like just this really kind of joyful thing that like, of course we make things, and that's, always encouraged. And so I think I was like kind of primed when I finally found clay when I was about 20 years old, to just like feel like I had the confidence to just kind of go for it and to not feel a lot of pressure about it. But I took a class just at a community art center called the Multnomah Art Center in Portland. I was 20. I was just like trying something new. And my teacher was kind of one of these teachers who I think just mostly wanted to be in her studio. Like she would demonstrate for about 5 minutes with the class, and then you would not see her again. Like they were just like, she'd be like, and this is how you throw a ball, and then she was just like, 3 hours later, you're like, no, I haven't seen her since that first. So I think it was interesting. It was really like the material that drew me in, and that I just totally loved. And then also my fellow students. It was like there were a bunch of advanced students in the class, and I kind of like found them, watched them, and was like, okay, who knows what they're doing here? And like would generally sit next to them and kind of like watch what they were doing with their hands. So I feel like those are my first teachers, were like the advanced students in my class. But there was a visceral connection. Like the first time I tried it, I was just like, oh yeah, I want to do this forever. And then it took like, a couple decades before I felt confident enough to like actually try it without like 3 other jobs. So I had like a 10-year period of just loving it and spending as much time as I could, but having 3 other jobs.
Wow. And
then it's been about like 20 years where it's my main focus. And but I would say that like the first time I tried it, I knew that it was like something I wanted to follow, and that it felt really satisfying to me. And I felt like I was at home, just on the potter's wheel and just like paying attention to the clay moving through my hands. So and then it's been a very long road to actually be able to do it. So like, what wasn't yet?
Oh, that's wild.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, I think that works.
Beautiful.
Ben, in your artist statement, you talk about Hawaii and especially the Big Island, providing the right environment for your creativity and styles. Could you elaborate on that?
No.
No. Okay.
Let's see. Tough question. I think Amori gave me the opportunity to get into woodworking is what kind of drew me here in the first place. I had always been a potter for, I would say, at least 10 years or more before I came to the Big Island. You sort of hit a crossroads in your life sometimes where you wonder, oh, what's next for yourself? So someone gave me the opportunity to come to the Big Island. We can get you into a woodworking situation where you can learn, which was something that I felt I was kind of interested in anyway. So I came here, got into the woodworking things while still continuing to do my pottery. And I found that the woodworking was a very creative avenue besides a good way to make a living. Making a living like Claire does as a potter. My hat's off to anybody that can do what she does and make a living as a job.
I think it's just an easier time now than it was.
That's possible.
Yeah.
So it was a more difficult time for me to join you guys. So I fell back on woodworking or furniture making, which at some point, you know, when I was doing my pottery, it sort of came to me that sort of a natural kind of a marriage between the materials. I had made a piece. I would like to take the throne form, kind of alter it, cut apart, put it back together. And I had one piece that was sitting on the shelf that our cat at the time decided to use as her bed. In the process, she kind of knocked one side of it out. Kind of pissed me off. But anyway, I kind of looking at it after a while, I saw it as an opportunity. Oh, instead of trying to, if you know anything about clay, you know, once it's dried, you really can't stick parts back together. You know, it just doesn't work that way. So I had the idea, maybe I'll fabricate a piece of wood to replace that piece in there. So that was sort of like the beginning, the impetus for me to start combining the clay with wood. And there was a period in my woodworking and pottery where I did a lot of that. Unfortunately, I didn't bring any slides of that, but I kind of expanded on that, kind of took it to a point where, you know, I started to diverge and go into other directions, kind of more in the way where I am today. But I still think about those combinations, like the pieces in there. It was kind of a throwback, going back to that time where I combined the two materials. So, in a nutshell.
Expanding on that nutshell, what connection do you see between your woodwork and your clay? Are there things that you enjoy that clay lets you do, and that vice versa, like what you can do with the wood that the clay?
Well, people ask me now, it's like, you know, the woodworking and the pottery. Right now, woodworking is sort of what pays the bills. You know, it's a creative avenue, you know, like I like designing. Most of the time I spend these days on the computer, designing, figuring stuff out and working with clients and coming up with designs. And then I send these drawings downstairs to my woodworkers.
Yeah, a couple of them over here. Apprentices over here.
There's Leah over there. She's been apprenticing for about 2 years now. 3 years. And Sophia from Denmark here for about 2 weeks now. She's doing an internship with me for the next 5 months, which is kind of my way of acknowledging my mentor, to pass on the tradition of bringing up the next generation.
Wow. Who is your mentor?
L. Mark Smith.
Oh.
If you go onto my Instagram, Benson, I sort of dedicated that my Instagram to him.
And where did you meet him? Where did you?
We were working on a job where we're engaged to like replace the cabinets for this project. And we sort of noticed that the cabinets that we're replacing, the person that installed them, they were just basically commercial cabinets. But the person who put that in, we said, okay, whoever this guy is, he knows what he's doing. So it was kind of a timeline pressure thing that we had to get done. So we asked him if he'd consider helping us, working with us to get these new hardened cabinets installed. And he was kind of retired, sort of semi-retired from Oregon. He's, one of these old timers that's been around forever. And I sort of I could sense that, okay, this old guy, he knows. I want to know what he knows. And so we just sort of connected. I just kind of latched on to him. And, Vulcan mind transfer, I want to know everything you know. So, but anyway, he passed away about 4 or 5 years ago, but
For figure.
Yeah.
I got the lead.
I know.
Big deal.
And it's taking good care of
Training.
Easy yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah.
Blair, your turn. When talking about their inspiration for your work, you share that spending time in nature is an important part of your practice. And you also talk about your creation of functional work and, quote, seeing the potential for expression as every bit as powerful in work that has an active place in our life as it does in work that hangs on the wall.
Yeah.
Can you share some thoughts on ritual and the work that you create?
Yeah, sure. Well, I remember, so I took a workshop years ago from this artist named Chris Staley, who teaches ceramics at Penn State. And I remember him saying, he was talking about functional work, about pottery, and he said, good pots will remind you of something else. And I just felt really stuck in my mind. And so it's I feel like functional pottery has what potential to remind you of a shell or of a stone or, I guess I feel for one thing, function is sort of this fourth dimension that is a potential for expressing an idea or a concept. And they're all, there's all different ways of kind of articulating a thought. But to me, using an object and having it in your home and picking it up and having your hands on it and putting it to your lips, all of those things are a really powerful kind of next level of how you can connect with someone and express an idea. I've always wanted to make functional work. I've always felt really connected to other people's functional work. It feels more intimate. There's often this debate in our world of if something has function, could it possibly be art? Could it possibly express an idea? And to me, honestly, for me, I'm if that's still interesting in academia to keep talking about that, please do. But I just want to go make things, and hopefully they'll end up in people's homes and they'll kind of reveal themselves over time through use and through sort of having a place in people's lives. That feels like what I want to do.
Right.
And it's not, it's not because because it's the most important thing. It's not the most important thing. It's what I want to do. It's what interests me, and the intimacy of that, and the honor of having work that goes into the world and finds a life and finds a place in people's heart is feels really important. And it just feels really clearly what I'm interested in spending my time doing. And then if that piece can make you think of that trip you took, or make you think of lava, or make you think of a shell or a stone, something in nature that feels familiar, then I feel like that's kind of like how I feel I'm succeeding is when someone takes a piece of my work and says like, oh, this reminds me of try to sea urchin, or so when you're not spelling it out, but you're kind of including some context in a way that's maybe a little bit subversive, like yeah.
And on your statement too, you talk about just that use, putting, as people are drinking with it, that infuses the pizza. Mānoa. A lot of cultures have that idea that it's like by use, it makes it special.
Wow, exactly. And it gets people to slow down.
Yeah.
If you're taking the time to be like, what cup am I in the mood to drink out? And you're able to do it. It comes in like, this is so I want like an espresso today. So this small cup is the one that's just right for my day. Yeah. So that's exactly a good example.
Oh, here's the gallon-sized coffee cup. You really have enough rough
One
day.
of those days. That's only gallon.
Well, because the show did focus on porcelain, I'm going to ask Gerald in one sentence, why porcelain?
My answer is in one sentence?
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Okay, two.
I need at least two.
Okay, two.
Primarily, I'd been kind of more of a stoneware sculptor, artist, recluse. But about 10 years ago, when we, I guess we'll talk about that later, when we started what we fondly call as GPS, Pottery Studio, Good Pot Studio, we decided that we need to have a kiln. And we played with the idea of having maybe a wood kiln or some kind of atmospheric firing kiln. And those who know about wood firing and pottery, it does take a lot of resources to do wood kilns. But soda fire is a way to simulate those effects without needing the same resource requirements. And when we decided to do a soda kiln, I started looking at images of people that worked with soda. And one of the artists that struck me with her work was
Melly Noel?
no.
Julie Pesky?
No. Keep going.
I would say, who is it?
The stoner.
Ellen Shankin?
No.
Is it a woman? Gail Nichols.
Carol Nichols. Bingo. We're a team.
Sorry. Sorry, I didn't get on the first one.
But anyway, I started looking at her work, the surfaces and the colors and stuff. That's it. And she primarily worked with porcelain. So that's it. And that's what I want to do. So since then, that kind of set me off. Since working with soda firing, most of my work, I would say maybe 70% of it has been with porcelain.
He only had one period.
No, I know. Semicolon.
Long sentence.
No, that was. Would you say like the versatility of it? I mean that you can do the soda fire. That's one more sentence.
There's a specific set of aesthetics that goes with sort of soda and atmospheric firing that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Ceramic is such a broad subject. There's something for everybody. You can see by the work there, the spectrum of what's possible. But for me, it's sort of like one focuses neat on the aesthetic that I like, that I enjoy. And that's the direction that I pursue.
Into this job. Let's get into the GPM studio because you mentioned it. So you started, could you tell us how it started and maybe it'll come around how you both met? Because was the studio getting designed like before or after you guys?
World famous GPS studio.
For people that have been there in its current state, this is a little it's a little different, isn't it?
Okay, I have to acknowledge Suzanne and Carl Murr, who's been longtime supporters of the junk mill.
Yes.
Spiritually and financially.
Yeah.
This property came up for sale next to where they live now, which, they were interested in purchasing this to be able to sort of like control what sort of went her. And Suzanne, she took one of my pottery classes here at the Donkey Mill where I came to know her. So we were talking, I think, and then the idea came up of, well, if you get that, maybe you can turn that to a pottery studio. Click, that was it. Carl, write checks. We're going to turn this into a pottery studio.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Carl.
Right.
So I think that was 2012, 2013, but it was a bit of alchemy.
Must do us, right?
Oh my God.
GPS as it stands today. Oh,
Oh, do I turn around? Oh, sorry about the light.
Wish you done this.
Oh.
listen, plug joint.
Nothing.
Oh.
Okay. Lost connection now.
Lit is.
Oh.
Then
Yep, systems to be correct.
This tech support.
Where's the tech guy?
Okay.
tech support.
You got a teenager behind us.
Unplug it and plug it in again.
Oh, well, because I carry. Okay. Okay, Linda.
There we go. Yay.
It's cool.
No need to be on. This is the current studio.
Service.
The Bob isn't forming at all.
We'll see you.
So anyway, it's about 3-4 miles north up on the Mānoa Highway. And after a lot of check writing and a lot of ingenuity, this is the result.
Yeah.
I took this picture about this morning, by the way.
No.
And I gotta admit, as far as party studios that I worked in, this got like great ambiance. I've never had a potter's wheel without sunset view before. This was the soda kiln after its very first, it's a maiden voyage firing.
We brought a woman in from New York named Julie Crosby, who is kind of this badass kiln builder. And she was wonderful. And she stayed and built the kiln and then fired it with us the first time. And my husband Ian did all the metal work, a lot of welding.
Yeah. You got that sorry?
Sorry?
A
little firing. At this point, what we're doing is we're introducing the soda. We sort of wait for it to hit its maturing temperature, and we introduce soda as a solution. We sort of take about 1,000 grams of soda action and turn it to solution to about a gallon of water, which we spray into the soda parts that are designed into the kiln. And sometimes magic happens.
So you guys might have noticed the first firing was like mostly white.
First firing.
Because we were sort of learning the kiln. Also, it wasn't seasoned, so it wasn't like getting sort of soda off the shelves and the bricks and everything. Now it's very well seasoned, and we fired it how many times?
A lot.
A lot of times. A few dozen times
Or
at
more.
least, or more.
100? You think you're up to 100?
I don't think. Well, let's see. We're
So you're up to like 300 now.
All right.
No.
The kiln, I think, was built in 2014. So we'll, on average, fire maybe every month and a half to 2 months.
Yeah, 6 to
So
8.
you can do the math.
Shade a year. 8 times 9.
And I think a lot of it was just kind of learning glazes. Like I said, just learning the process, and you just don't, overnight do Gail Nichols. Takes a while.
Yeah, so good. it's fun to reflect on that.
And this I think threw in just because it was kind of a nice group shot, I thought. To the left there, Stephen Mickey, who has done a workshop here at the Dung Mill.
And is my mentor.
How was?
And married me and my husband.
And to my left in the image is Suzanne Murner, of our gracious
Our
benefactor.
gracious, wonderful soul sister benefactor.
And to the left of Suzanne is Suzanne Wang, who has her piece in the show there. And of course Claire, and then to her right is Katrina, which was one of my very first female interns from Denmark, who besides turning out to be an excellent woodworker, turned out to be quite the potter as well.
Ben kind of has this thing of like bringing woodworking apprentices and sending back potters. It's happened a few times.
They have gone to the dark side.
It's like big.
Anyway,
Somebody would see that was beautiful. So because you guys have worked together for so long, what are some of the ways that have you influenced each other in your work, in your philosophies, or any other ways, or bad habits maybe? Good habits, bad habits.
I mean, I'm the bad habits and he's the good habits. I'm the one who like sets a deadline and then is late and staying there till midnight and working 14-hour days. And Ben is kind of this very measured, like, reasonable pace, and he's ahead of schedule all the time. So I think that's the main influence is like I negatively influence him and he positively influences me. As a summary.
Yeah. Is that true? Is it true?
Yeah.
I think there's kind of a mutual symbiosis that goes on there. But I think more than just as far as you look at her work and my work, totally different.
Yeah.
I think it's more like just being in the studio with somebody that you're simpatico with, that you can just talk to. Our motto is no drama.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No drama.
Yeah.
And in that regard, we get along very well. And I think just having someone there to just get feedback, what you're doing, and just for the emotional support, I think. Because I used to have a studio at home where I worked by myself, and I was kind of, after a while, I thought it was a cool idea, but after a while, there's something missing here. There's nobody to talk to. I think she does most of the talking.
I do most of the talking.
There's nobody to listen to.
But I mean, Ben has 50 years play experience. I'm only at almost 30. But I feel like I'm super thankful anytime I need technical advice, but there's someone there. I can ask for things, and also Ben is like a mechanical genius, sort of fix everything, make everything all better sort of guy, which is not my forte.
Yeah.
And when I was at the Donkey Mill, Ian fixed everything and built everything. And he's a little bit more off the hook because I was super capable. Studiomate, you got a termite. Yeah, so I'm super thankful to work with Ben and just kind of I think mutual respect and understanding that we both have a good foundation of knowledge, and that's we both have done a ton of teaching, and I love teaching, but it's a real pleasure to be able to just work with someone who I can ask for advice and we can bounce ideas off each other. But there's also a lot of time where we're just kind of like working parallel to each other. And I'm someone who's so tuned into the people in my environment that to have someone who's not a huge talker is kind of good for me, because I'm like, it just makes me focus a lot more. I'm thankful for that. Thankful for Pekin's presence.
That's awesome. So where did you guys meet then? Can you tell us that story?
I met
Yeah.
Ben when Leo was here somewhere, and he's not short. He's right there. Leo was a newborn, and I was into the island and looking for some way to get my hands on clay. And I came around to the donkey mouth, and it was like a potluck lunch. And I was like, oh, well, this is like all this good food. That's my thing. Like kind of a rundown building. Like, that's my thing. And I had a little tiny baby and like a little swing or whatever. And it happened to be when they were getting ready for cold fusion. So I was like, I know how to do pots. And actually, I think Septico said, well, go meet Gerald Ben. He has a gallery, Delftale Gallery down the road. So I like hopped in my car, went over, introduced myself to Ben, and Ben was basically like, yeah, you can volunteer and make some bowls for cold fusions. And so I volunteered for him, making bowls, and it was like a real relief to me to be able to get my hands in clay when I was a new mom, and just like kind of orienting to that new reality. And Ben was just super welcoming, and like kind of got to know the original crew, and ended up meeting most of my favorite people on the islands through like the things that came from that. Like symbiotics sort of like fortuitous. Yeah.
Really? So how did,
Well said.
yeah. So how did the invitation to be like, hey, Claire, do you want to be my studio mate happen? Were you just like, I feel got a connection?
Like I would never hear he did that. Yeah, I deserve that.
I think it was more through Suzanne who built the studio.
Yeah.
She was acquainted with both of us. And,
Yeah.
We were friends, and I think just through her program, she invited us to become a part.
Her
Okay.
and we are the spoiled brand.
Yes. She gives us the run of the studio. Yeah.
But yeah, Ben and Suzanne sort of approached me, and I was really deep in the donkey mill at that time. Like I was running the ceramics program and spending most of my time finding other people's work and teaching people how to do clay and not making much of my own in the space here. Like Jake probably can relate to sort of that balance of running a program and also trying to get some of your work made. So it was like just this like kind of gift from the heavens for me to like have a space that I was invited into to make my own work. Kind of really kind of sees me and seeing my sanity with super thankful and thankful to Suzanne. I mean, Suzanne is really just this like incredible visionary and generous. Yeah.
I think everyone needs a Suzanne.
Everyone needs it. I know. Can we make some more?
With a Carl that writes checks.
Son Pen has Oh, awesome. Okay, well, we're pretty good on time. I do want to get into, pre-GPS and actually present with your apprenticeships. Claire, you had done I don't even know, apprenticeship in Italy.
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I actually worked as the studio tech for this school called La Meridiana, which is outside of Florence. And Kate and Will have taught there, and some other. Has anyone else here been to La Meridiana? There's sort of like a connection between them. Anyway, it's a an international ceramics school where they bring in instructors from all over the world to teach these 1 and 2 week classes, and the students come from all over the world. So I lived in Italy for 4 years, and the first 2 years I was working on farms, and then the second 2 years I was the studio tech at La Meridiana. So I just had this chance to work for all different ceramic artists, and the techniques and the firing temperatures and everything was just totally across the board, from blow fire sculptural work all the way through functional work and high fire, wood fire, and soda fire. But it's really where I got most of my ceramics education was these instructors who would come in, spend a couple weeks doing these very intensive classes. All the students were living there and eating there. And I would make their glazes. I would fire their cones. I would translate for them sometimes. And just have this amazing wealth in my techniques. And it was just a sample of like all of the things you think you have to play. So, and then I would also, like, especially when it was an instructor that I really connected with, I would ask them if they would come critique my work. So it was like, I really tried to kind of like mine that experience for as much feedback as I could, saying these incredible artists would come through. So yeah, it was hugely influential to kind of like be honing in on what I want to do. And what trying rainbows, and, you know, like sort of what types of play I like to use right now. What I want my work to be like.
Right. And I'm sure your teaching techniques too. Just seeing so many different teachers with so many different styles.
Yeah, it was very thing to be there for 2 weeks. So this is actor and my joy. You know, sharing, you know, I can really get to know people in it. And I find with that sound, that's pretty yeah, it's really valuable to me, to my sort of like understanding ceramics. The next day. Full experience, yeah. Understand.
Oh, Ben, you did an what to say? What am I back to the sorry. You were a production potter at the Pottery Steakhouse here in Kona for 7 years. What was that?
Actually, the original Pottery Steakhouse, those who are old enough to remember the Pottery Steakhouse.
Yes.
The original one started in Kanki in Honolulu. That's where I started working for the Pottery Steakhouse. But it was kind of a theme restaurant where we would make all the ware and pottery and ceramic that everyone ate on. So, you know, sort of recently out of high school, you know, just loving the wheel and loving to play with the potter's wheel. I heard they were hiring potters. I'll go down there and apply.
So Ben, were you like 18 or 19 at this point?
At that point, I was probably maybe like 19.
So like a few years ago, like 10 or 12 years ago?
Yeah. 15. So yeah, I worked there as a production potter, like Mina said, for about 7.5 years. I gotta admit, we made a lot of ugly stuff. The only thing I can say is I never had to sign my name to it. It was just stamped Pottery Steakhouse. But production pottery, it's a way to get real good real fast. That you're just repetition, doing the same thing, no. You know, you got to where it took the same amount of mold, same amount of effort to do each piece, just replicate it.
I heard you met like some super cute woman when you were there. She touched the some hottie.
Okay, we're going that route, are we? Too careful. Yes, I did meet my wife at the party.
And she's adorable.
Yeah, still is.
Yeah, still is.
So, I mean, maybe the internship that you do maybe had sparked from your experience with your mentor, but could you tell us how that program where you're bringing students from abroad?
Well, I guess I gotta go back just a little bit if you guys will bear with me. About 30 decades ago. Yeah. I was 17 at the time, or between our junior and senior years or something, and a friend of mine who came to my house one day, hey, do you want to go make pottery? Sure. So he was going to a different high school, McKinley High School. The art teacher at that time was Charlie Higa, and those old enough to know he is one of the old timers in the art scene in Hawaii, noted for his watercolors. But anyway, he was one of those people that was all about the students. And although I was not a student at his school, much less his class, he welcomed me to use his facilities to go work with a friend of mine. And basically, I kind of where I got my start with pottery. And him being that type of teacher that was engaged with the students and wanting to give and make sure that they got a good background education. I think that kind of impressed upon me the difference that it makes having a quality of instruction. And when we were talking about all of this starting it about many years ago, that was sort of always in the back of my mind of bringing that quality of the people that want to learn.
So how long have you been bringing interns, bro?
I think the intern thing is like, I think about 10 years now. I usually take one at a time. Sophia there, I think she's number 13.
Oh, good job. I've been number 13.
Lucky 13.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it. It's like, they bring sort of appreciation to the opportunity to, learn whatever I have to ultimately.
Yeah.
And I enjoy that. That's like clearly saying something, but there's something about passing on and teaching. That's kind of enjoyable. Yeah. So I think that gives me that opportunity.
The apprenticeship's got a pretty big reputation in Denmark at this point for being sort of a really special place you can go. Yeah, like the most incredible family. Yeah, like being in Hawaii.
Yeah, maybe there's a shrine of you or a statue.
I think it's next to the Little Mermaid.
Aren't you? You're going, right? You said.
Yeah, I plan to go to Denmark maybe next spring, and I'm going to check up on all of them, see if they can impress me with what you've been doing.
Since this year. And just a conversation, to learn more about their system. I mean, in Denmark, that it's like they seem as though they value the arts and highly skilled, like those training programs. But yeah, crap, maybe you craftsmanship more than you.
Yeah, I feel like they do. Like,
yeah, it's definitely a different system. You get to learn.
She understands.
Too much less great. I think, they have a very supportive. It's one of those socialist countries, where you get free education and universal health care.
And they actually set young people up to have a whole in society with the only word not be.
Yeah, so they'll actually get financial assistance.
Yeah.
Come abroad and do stuff like this.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It makes so much sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So is there something that you hope, each intern is so different, but something that you hope they take away with them? Or
I think that is what my mentor, what I learned from him is more than just a technical, was an attitude. About how you approach a project or a problem or something that you're going to build and you want to do. It's sort of that thinking, to sort of trust in yourself to pursue the problem. Talk to people, bounce it off. Think about it. If they can get that, that'll take them, far ahead of what I can actually teach them.
See.
She said that. Seems like a beautiful end. A way to end the formal question answer section with me. We're gonna open it up to the audience if anyone has questions. Yeah, of course.
I have content updates is what kind of describing about probably having a feeling or remodeling or something of being about 12 or so years ago. I was here and there was a pottery sale, and we just it was around Christmas time. I don't think it was cool season, and I think it was Christmas because my mom tried to tell me, "Would you like me to buy you towels?"
Yep.
And I'm like, "That's our fault." Sir, your mixer is smoking every time you make the same. It was her mixer. She got the wedding 40 years ago. I just said, no, I only want this right thing, please. And it was breathtaking. Stacking doors, tall, these there. Wow! I had never, ever thought, and even about in somebody's house.
Oh,
And she was stealing my face here. It gets better. That's why the fans player. I don't know. There, sometime after that, and I even told. I said it's a breathtaking. I never even used that word before. It was the palest green. It was just so amazing. Stacking walls that ended up with a little. Do you remember it? Show you? Try not to see it. Yeah, I didn't know who the artist was at all. And then a couple of years later, my daughter made friends with Kristen, her oldest, Will, and he was staying over at her house. And as a thing, I couldn't tear the thought brought over at this magnificent cabinet old creation that is like already on the desk in front of me, so I can see it before I go to bed, and I do use it. But on occasions, but I like looking at Kelly. And so anyway, she bought that, and I was trying to find a place for it, and I looked at the bottom, and I said, "Oh, that's this thing I know." So I went and got my breathtaking stacking walls, and it was the same, and I didn't know, and it was the best present I've ever gotten. But just I love that so. I did buy tires. Yes. No, thank you, Shelley.
So you don't have anything in mind, do you?
In the gallery shop, there's is available in the gallery shop for both of these items. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Yeah. Well, I have a question, Claire. Have you always worked in porcelain?
no, but I think like when I found it, I didn't want to work with anything else. Like I would say I found it fairly early when I started working with clay, and I realized you kind of gotta get to know it and learn how to work with it because it's a little less forgiving than other types of clay. But I mean, the first time I ever tried it, I had this total it was like cream cheese. It's like super satisfying. Like, yeah, actually very much like cream cheese.
Yeah, it's first cool.
I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you find rolling the Seastone over here, like when she gets going, is it good for you? Or is it just kind of hard? It's hard to keep up with. I mean, not amateur hour. This is big.
I think I've kind of learned that she has a different time schedule than I do. And it's usually right at that window just before we need it. She gets going.
Good.
But we do get it done eventually. But, no, I just kind of roll with it. I just tell her I'll be ready when you are.
Sounds right. That sounds right. Good question, Ian. I'm thinking, as another person who rolls with me.
I want you to family portrait of us hanging onto her coattails, all her feet behind us, her side on the ground, just hanging on, trying to keep up.
Nice. Yeah, and with all these beautiful pots that you're creating, what is the marketing plan? Really now? Good.
Mine go mostly, I do a market in Waimea every Saturday. And I'm
Saturday Waimea Market.
Yep, at Parker School. I go set up at 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m. every Saturday, and I move most of my work there. And then I have galleries that carry my work as well. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, it goes away.
Goes up in there.
Yeah.
That's the whole. A big place, Gerald. Yeah. And where is yours gone?
Dovetail Gallery.
Which is
3 miles up the road.
Yeah. It's a beautiful space.
That's primarily where I sell my work.
Yeah.
We do a holiday sale once a year. That's well attended.
For me, at this point, like I said, I make most of my living from the furniture, woodworking.
Yes.
But pottery is sort of my passion. It's something that I told myself 50 years ago that I wanted to do, and I'm still doing it. And regardless, I'll keep making it, and the gallery's enough for me.
Ben and I both are kind of like fussy. Like we like to put a lot of more time into pieces than is reasonable. So we kind of like give each other crap about that mutually in the studio, where I'm like, wow, like what's your hourly rate on that piece? Because he's like, making these beautiful wines at just like
$5 an hour.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right? Not about the money. Was that about the money? And it's the else.
Yeah, we're potters. We're not like potters are not like known to be
Yeah.
They're not the Wall Street types. No.
But it's a good life. And like, it's a, well, this visiting artist, I was just trying to think how you will know who she was in any case. She claimed she sold her pieces, which are enormous pieces, and they were as good inside as outside, but you only knew that if you dropped, if you couldn't, right now you're talking, so she never checked, it was absolutely perfect. And she worked out that even though she sold her pieces for thousands, whatever, but she made 25 cents an hour.
Deaf cat? Yeah.
You know what I mean. I know me. Yeah, her work's amazing. Yeah, we're not enough for the money.
And she makes more than 25 cents.
She's that, I mean, she was, I don't know, she's had a child, so maybe she's become more sort of, yeah. Because I don't know. Any other comments, the questions? Yeah. Oh, when you make something, everything is so different and unique. How do you let go of it? Because I know when I make something, it's so hard. Like, instant, I want to give it away. It's so hard to lose it because everything is so different and you I just want to keep everything. Who's that?
I think you get a certain number of thousands of pieces in your head, and you're like, but I will say that if there's something really special that happens in the kiln that I haven't seen before, I usually keep it because I'm like, no, I can't repeat that. And so, what about you, Ben?
I sell everything. We're gonna make them move them out for make space for more.
Well, that's the same issue of space.
Yeah. I have a few special pieces from my past. But yeah, generally it's kind of a practical thing. We just gotta let go. There's too much stuff.
Awesome.
Well, I know we have a lot of food still left next door, so we can keep conversations going together if you can stay, but let's give our
Yeah.